Many Nevada residents live in homeowner associations, legally known as common interest communities. These associations are self-governing, meaning that those who live in the community run the business of the associations in the form of a volunteer board of directors. The board manages all common property, such as community parks, clubhouses, and pools. Some associations also provide services like the landscaping of the common areas. Homeowners pay assessments for these services and amenities. In addition, the board is charged with enforcing the covenants, conditions, and restrictions, called CC&Rs, as well as the bylaws and rules and regulations of the community. These are called the governing documents. They often contain rules about parking, landscaping, color schemes, and other matters which affect the appearance and maintenance of the homes. Boards meet periodically, and homeowners are encouraged to attend. At the beginning of meetings, there is an agenda item to allow homeowners to bring up their concerns to board members. Clear and open communication between the board members and homeowners is important. One topic often discussed at board meetings is the association's budget.
I know some of you are concerned about whether your monthly assessment will stay the same.
Of course we are.
But the electric bill has more than doubled this past year.
So is ours.
So we need to think of some ways to save electricity or figure out where this extra money's going to come from.
From us. Where else?
This matter isn't on today's agenda. We need to put it on next month's. Then we could talk about money-saving ideas.
Yeah, we could try closing the clubhouse one day a week.
Closing the clubhouse one day a week? I moved here for the clubhouse.
We'll talk about options at the next meeting, Bennett. The newsletter comes out in a couple of weeks, and we'll be sure to let everyone know about this upcoming discussion. Now, we've been through the agenda. Is there anything further?
No.
Not here.
Okay, nothing further. This meeting is adjourned.
Board members have what's called a fiduciary duty. This means that the board members must exercise ordinary and reasonable care for the association as if it were a business. One way the board exercises good business judgment is by carefully evaluating the association's financial needs, making sure there's enough money to pay the community's bills and to save for the future. The board must keep homeowners fully informed on these matters.
Kathy, when's the next board meeting?
We meet every month on the 15th.
You're not really going to close the clubhouse, are you?
We can only discuss association business at board meetings, but I can give you some general information since you're new here. Why don't you have a seat?
Okay.
Open communication between the board and homeowners is important. This doesn't mean that board members have to be available to answer every phone call or email, but board meetings must be held at least once every 90 days. Homeowners must receive written notice of the meetings. Notices should be hand-delivered or mailed to the addresses that the homeowners designate. There's also an option of email notice, but only if the association offers it and the homeowner wants the notice by email. In addition, the board also has to supply the agenda, or tell homeowners the date and place where they can get a copy of it. The agenda shows the topics for the meeting.
What if cutting back on electricity is not enough?
Well, we need to look at the big picture when we're planning our budget. We need to maintain the common elements as well as pay our community bills.
So our monthly fees are for paying all the bills?
Most of that money goes to operating expenses, but part of that goes to the reserve fund.
What's the reserve fund for?
It's for repairs and replacements of major components of the property that we all own in common, like the clubhouse. Have you looked at our reserve study?
I've heard about the reserve study. What is it?
It's just that, a study. It summarizes the results of an inspection of what needs to be fixed, when, and what it might cost.
So it's kind of like requiring the association to have a savings account?
Right. The reserve study estimates how much we should put aside for future costs. If there isn't enough, we might need a special reserve assessment.
On top of what we already pay?
Yes. Let me explain how it works. Our reserve study estimates that we'll need a new front security gate in 10 years. Suppose we don't have enough money at the time to pay for it.
Why not?
Maybe the price of iron goes up higher than was expected. A special assessment would be used to get that extra money.
How far into the future does the study go?
30 years, but that study has to be done every 5 years to take into account changes in the economy, increased costs, those kinds of things. Also, once a year, the board reviews the study to see if there's any changes that are needed.
So that's where the special assessment comes in, right?
It could. You might want to check out the Nevada Real Estate Division's website. There's a report there that explains a lot about reserves.
I remember a few years ago, the clubhouse needed a new roof. We had to pay an extra $10 a month for a whole year to pay for that.
That's right. 3 years ago, the roof started leaking a lot, and we didn't have enough money in reserves at that time to replace it.
Why not?
Well, the roof wore out quicker than we thought. We planned to put a new one on this year, so we did a special reserve assessment to raise the money for it. We talked about this at a board meeting, wrote about it in our newsletter, and sent homeowners letters to explain why we needed that extra money.
The board should always keep homeowners up to date on what's happening in their community. There are 3 ways the board can provide information to homeowners. First, once a year, the board must give copies of the proposed operating and reserve budgets to homeowners. A summary is okay, as long as the board tells homeowners where they can look at the complete budgets. Second, at every quarterly meeting, the board must review current financial information. The board also has to review the status of any lawsuit, mediation, or arbitration if the board is involved. The third way a board keeps homeowners informed on finances is by making available the association's books, records, and other papers. Also, homeowners have the right to look at documents during the business hours of the association and to receive photocopies. These requests must be in writing. The board can charge for copies and for the time it takes to retrieve records.
The board also must allow access to other records, like board minutes, the reserve study, and general information on violations of the CCNRs.
What? Violation information? So if I get cited for violating a rule, my neighbors can look that up?
No, we don't give out names or addresses, just general information, like the type of violation, maybe it was parking, wrong paint color, and the type of sanction, like whether or not it was a fine or if it got to the lien stage.
A lien? I didn't know the board could do that.
Placing a lien on a homeowner's property should be the last resort for the board. But there are 2 situations where this can happen. The first is when a homeowner doesn't pay the regular assessments. That can include a special assessment for boosting up the reserves or for capital improvements. The association can collect these past due assessments through a foreclosure procedure. The second situation happens when folks don't pay the fines they got for violating rules. But you can't lose your home by failing to pay fines unless it's a serious health or safety violation.
One of my neighbors talked about getting a letter about a fine. He told me he met with the board and they worked things out, and he repainted his fence.
Well, I can't discuss specifics with you. Remember, violation information is confidential. We can only discuss violations during executive sessions. Only the board and the homeowner charged with a violation are present. Sometimes we have the board lawyer there too. Keep in mind that we don't fine people to make money. It's meant to encourage homeowners to follow the rules.
How high can fines go?
Generally, fines must not exceed $100 per violation. If the violation is not cured in 14 days, there can be additional fines every 7 days. A health or safety violation can be even more costly.
If the board fines the owner after the hearing, the homeowner should consider paying it. That way, interest, late fees, and collection costs aren't added in. The real estate division offers 2 procedures for handling disputes.
Well, I hope I don't find myself in that kind of a situation.
It's a 2-way street. We have the duty to the association as a whole, and homeowners have a duty to follow the rules.
Does the board remind folks about the rules, like pet rules, when you can take out the trash, things like that?
Yes, we do, in our newsletters. We allow non-board members to take part in some of our committees. Would you be interested in serving in our publications committee?
I'd like that. Thanks for asking.
Great.
An effective board makes decisions based on the well-being of the whole community and in accordance with the governing documents and the law. It encourages homeowner involvement. Together, active, caring board members and homeowners can help their community be the best it can be. Where there is good communication between board members and homeowners, there is a successful homeowner association.
Bye.